Ever since I was a kid, Robocop has been a franchise that has always intrigued me. From that gut-wrenching moment where Alex Murphy gets blown away by a violent gang, only later to be turned into a cyborg cop by the OCP Corporation, thus leading us to one of the most violent satire movies from the 80s. Honestly, if you were an 80s kid and you did not like Robocop, did you even like action movies? I don't think so. In fact, if you're anything like me, then you're always ready for some more good old-fashioned Robocop violence. And as luck would have it, we got what looks like to be an amazing game coming our way with Robocop Rogue City. However, before we take a deep dive into Rogue City's Prime Directives, I wanted to take a brief moment and welcome anyone new to the channel. If you are new, please consider subscribing, and if you do happen to enjoy the video, let me know by dropping a like. But anyways guys, we got a lot to get into, so without further ado, let's get into it. In the movies, comics, and cartoons, Robocop has always been a walking tank, basically a one cyborg crime-stopping army. And from the gameplay I've seen, the developers seem to have definitely kept the power fantasy in place in this game. It looks like when you play it, you're actually going to feel like Robocop. After all, one thing I hate is when franchises that get turned into video games lose what made the characters appealing in the first place. I mean, do we really want to play a game as Robocop where simple thugs are actual threats to us? I don't think so. And luckily, even IGN has said that this is not the case, as they have actually stated that they were simply able to bolt dice through enemies. And if IGN could do it, I'm pretty sure you can too. However, they were concerned that the game would start to lose appeal because you're blowing everyone away without a real challenge. And I do agree with that. After all, the campaign has been said to be 20 to 30 hours long. But I'm sure that as the game progresses, we will be faced with more difficult opponents. After all, Robo does come across Ed 209 in Robocop 1 and other cyborgs along the way, such as Kane in Robocop 2, and they actually pose a real threat for our hero. And since this is a video game, one that actually takes place between the events of Robocop 2 and 3, I'm sure the developers have cooked up some unique challenges that we will have to overcome in order to protect the citizens of Detroit. Now, blasting away criminals and using raw physical power to overcome drug lords is just one aspect to Robocop. After all, he does have to battle corporate greed and corruption. In fact, even the company that created him was filled to the brim with those awful traits. So luckily for us, the game is not just strictly a shooter. In fact, it has come out that the game will give the player access to Robocop's psyche from the game's choice system and dialogue options. According to the developers, the actions we may or may not take could actually alter the game, from changing the game's ending to even determining which side characters live or die. And it's not just long-term consequences you may be faced with, but also short-term ones. One example that was given in the IGN article is you come across a kid who's tagging the city using graffiti, and you have the option to let the kid off with a warning or to give harsher punishment. So if you let the kid off with a warning, you'll later in the game see tags throughout the city that are praising our hero Robocop. However, if you chose to do something harsher, you may come across different tags. And if you're a citizen of Detroit, seeing these images on the wall of your city can actually start to change public opinion of Robocop, as the game is said to have had sort of a favor with the public meter. So would you rather see tags praising Robocop, or would you rather see tags that are most likely using a 4-letter word to describe our hero? Which one would have a positive feedback from the citizens, and which one would start to lower the morale and overall public opinion of Robo? Now, these decision mechanics could turn out to be a big nothing burger, but it's one aspect that I hope they actually do extremely well on. After all, a big part of Robocop's battle is actually internal, not external, as he is a man living inside of a machine. One key component to the story of Robocop that I feel like gets overlooked quite a bit is that there's a constant struggle for our hero as he battles over his own identity. Is he a machine that is meant to be controlled by OCP? Or is he Alex Murphy? The internal conflict of robotic programming and what is left of his humanity is felt throughout the entire original movie. So allowing players different dialogue options or different choices we make throughout the story could be very interesting. Hopefully we as the player can dictate whether we act more like a machine, almost like a Terminator type of character with no emotional attachment to other human beings, or if we dive more into the human element of Robocop and try to portray Alex Murphy as best as possible. If done correctly, I think this could lead to some interesting doors and let us deep dive into this character. Plus, it would be fun to experiment and do different playthroughs to see which would lead to the overall better ending result, the man or the machine. Overall, I am very excited for this game. I have a ton of nostalgia for the 80s and the franchises from it. Plus, the developers did incredible work on Terminator Resistance. They seem to actually care about the IPs they work on and deliver a game not only with a ton of fan service, but actually ones that provide a way for gamers to get more immersed into the worlds the games are set in. Robocop Rogue City is set to be releasing later this year in September onto the PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, the Xbox Series X and S consoles, as well as Steam and the Epic Games Store. But I want to hear what you all think. Are you guys excited to get into Rogue City later this year? Do you think this game could actually live up to the potential that the original movie set back in the 80s? Also, let me know what is one of your favorite cyborg movies in the comments down below. As for me, I got a ton of work to do, so I'm gonna get back to the grind and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.